Downman here, and I'm with my good pal Bluestick here, and we're here to talk about Star Citizen. This is Star Citizen, let's talk about it, episode 3, and we're going to talk about organizations. So, Bluestick, how do you feel about organizations?
I personally love organizations. I have certain ideas of what I'd like them to do with it, and I think a portion of them are true, and I hope a portion of them come to be true. I really want organizations in this to be what crews should have been in GTA 5.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
get me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, at the moment, as the game is still quite new and still needs to be fleshed out, it's just a grouping of people.
Yeah.
But the potential of it is massive. It's like, just one of the things I'm really looking forward to is the fleet.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be good. Fleet view and stuff, and all those features, including to the fleet. But
Yeah, sort of like it acting as a garage for everyone to have some access to, maybe dependent on like what their rank is or their role is within the organization. Then they have access to certain ships, but it also means that perhaps players who aren't as good at the game can go into organizations with people who are perhaps a lot better at the game and still have the ability to be able to access some of the more expensive ships.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll also, like, organizations also pose opportunities for new players to learn the game whilst under, like, someone else's wing or a group of players' wing. Like, to be safe, in a safe environment, not too harsh an environment, get tips and, learn the mistakes before they make them.
Yeah, and it acts as a way of almost being able to earn money as well.
Yeah, precisely.
Because it's like you're going to have organizations who are going to have contracts with other organizations or other like entities within the game.
Yeah.
And if one is perhaps a simple just, guard a convoy, doesn't probably, assuming nothing happens, it's not going to be a huge strain on resources or skill. So you could assign anyone to that job probably, and it's a good intro to the game. It lets you meet new people, throws you into situations you might not have thought you'd found yourself in within the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's like all sorts of organizations out there. There's organizations for exploring, trading, combat, everything, right?
Yeah.
So here's something that really interests me, is the fact that with all these organizations and how they all behave, what happens with organizations and how organizations can become superpowers? Like on other games it happens, like you can have a dominant group because either they have the numbers or the resources. What I'd like to know is how Star Citizen's organizations are going to work in that sort of how they're going to behave in the verse, because I know one thing's for sure is Star Citizen, the people who play Star Citizen are very different to people who just play everyday shooter games. Like the mindless games, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Star Citizen gamers have a lot of intelligence and stuff like that. So if there was a large organization, I think we'd see a split between people that would group with them so they are immune from from attacks from them, and then people who would form an alliance against them to take down the threat. How do you think that's going to go down?
Well, I think that's kind of almost like any game it works like that. Almost, you get one person that's getting stronger or a group that's getting stronger, you're going to get a group of people or individuals who don't like that or just don't like them and want to get stronger purely to antagonize or attack them.
Yeah.
And from what you said in previous videos about sort of like the economy of the way it's going to work, let's say an organization gets so big and so powerful that they have not control as such, but they have like investments in large parts of every part of the economy.
Yeah.
Let's say then they crumble. Something bad happens, their insurance runs out on something stupid, or they just dissolve. How's that going to affect the game as a whole? Because you're going to have a large number of players who perhaps are going to splinter or join other organizations, and it will change the way that the verse works.
Yeah, exactly. Like ripples in a pond, everybody feels it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Also, what else is there? Let's have a look at also how organizations function. Like we were going today through a whole organization list, and we found one in particular, and like you said it yourself, it wasn't exactly structured that well.
No, and I think that comes down to sort of personal preference of how the people at the top want to run it going down. Everyone, there's probably no right way of doing it.
Yeah.
there are probably ways that work better for some than others. For example, ours is a very structured tree from the top that goes down. Or a pyramid is probably a better way to describe it. It's a pyramid scheme,
Yeah.
and it's set up in a way that it allows for progression, but it also means that the roles lower down are still filled out, whilst the people at the top can still do their job.
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of like a pyramid slash sort of like umbrella. The way that the way it works is the people that are headed towards the top of the umbrella are then sort of obligated to protect the people that are at the bottom of the umbrella, and it's so
Yeah.
on and so forth. So it's never like evolving cycle.
But it also means that the people at the top are still very heavily dependent on the people at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you've still got to have people doing trading, doing mining, scientific research, banking, whatever. You need all of them to do their jobs to be able to make money, acquire new contracts, acquire relationships with other people, in order for the organization to, progress.
Yeah, exactly, to thrive. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, you have the people also, like, say, the explorers. They the ones who go out there and they gather exploration data, and they might come across stuff that can benefit the organization. Maybe a faster jump route to the rest of the organization when they're fighting another org, like maybe a backdoor, as it were, to enemy locations.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then traders who siphon a little bit of their bonus credits basically off into the org bank to help the military keep flowing and provide protection for those traders to keep them gaining money and do what they want to do.
Yeah. And I like the way that Star Citizen works in the fact that they have Squadron 42, which is going to be the single player aspect of the game. But I feel like a lot of the multiplayer online world is very heavily dependent on how players interact with one another. Let's say, for an example, a large organization has a lot of contracts, a lot of people, but then a medium-sized one comes in and takes a contract from this large organization. You don't know how that's going to play out. It could just be a simple thing of we've got loads of others, it doesn't matter, it's just one. Or it could be a thing of that could spark something.
Yeah.
It's sort of like I've spoke to you about it before in other games, especially like EVE Online. The smallest of differences or the smallest of events can spark massive wars.
Oh yeah.
And it could be something simple like that, and you don't know what the implications of it are going to be, because it'll be very dependent on the people that it happens to. And I think that's going to be like a really exciting aspect of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, what we could see is we could see a large pirate organization, say for instance, with someone who the people who are at the top aren't very well diplomatic, to say the least, and maybe someone taking a contract, to them that could be a sign of weakness, so they go all out, maximum strength attack against the people who took that one contract off of them, even if it was a non-aggressive way of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we have a huge war in our hands where other organizations get involved, and it could spiral into all-out war.
I think touching upon it, pirate organizations, they're gonna have a large effect on the game.
Oh yeah.
Because you was talking about a lot of large organizations or whatever that are doing trading, mining, contracts, blah blah blah. There's gonna be equally as large organizations whose only desire and goal is to mess with people.
Yeah, to destroy, to take, to steal, to plunder.
Yeah, and there's, as you say, there's nothing then stopping them from having their own station or whatever.
Yep.
And just going out of their way to start to destroy the little organizations.
Yeah, precisely.
And that could be where other organizations, or you can then have protection organizations whose only role is to protect other people from pirates.
A lot like our organization.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly it. Like, what we do is we're there to help people, and we're there to stop the pirates and fight off the aliens and all that stuff, and search and rescue and whatnot. But like you said, these pirate organizations are a very real threat. Now, if you're gonna run a pirate organization yourself, like say if you guys are listening and you're a pirate org leader or you plan to do a pirate org, we're not saying it's a bad thing. We're saying it will add more fun to the game, It'll
Yeah, it's part of the game. You can't just be like, nah, you can't do it.
Yeah, exactly, because that ruins it. You can't tell someone, you know what I mean? Oh, don't play the game this way because this person doesn't like it. That's not the way, it works. What we're here to say is, like, we're coming for you. No, no. What we want to say is that how it all will function together actually will keep the whole circle of life, if it were in the game, flowing. You'll have the traders who make like trade organizations making tons of money selling stuff and wares to other organizations with like fleets of brand new merchantmen ships and things like that, and then they'll fund the military organizations, and then maybe those trader organizations get ambushed by pirates, and then those military organizations have to spend those resources that they got from the traders to defeat the pirates, and then it's just a circle. It just keeps on. Each one supplies the next. You know what I mean? Like a food chain.
I think that's going to be fun because you never know. It could be a thing of, I mean, to take a completely far off, but a real life example of it is that the, like during wars and stuff, governments have turned to, like, perhaps non-legal enterprises for help.
Yeah.
And so you could have a thing like that. You could get people hiring pirate organizations or organizations hiring specific groups of people who are very good at fighting or anything like that. Mercenaries to attack someone else for their own benefit. It could be, for an example, maybe something like you've got a medium-sized organization, you've acquired some funds, you then hire a pirate organization to attack perhaps your competitor to like lower their standing, perhaps make a contractor feel like they're not really up to fulfilling their role. You come in and take the contract from them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's almost like the same thing that happens with, like, say, assassins or something. You know what I mean? If an assassin's after a contract, but then there's another assassin who wants that contract, he could just as easily kill the original assassin and take the contract for himself. So, like, yeah, it's all very dicey. It's all very dangerous. That's more fun. But what else is there? Organizations, they can capture, like a large organization can capture a Bengal carrier in deep space. That will make them pretty powerful, I think. Something the size of a Bengal carrier is their home, like for their fleet. Large, incredibly large capital ship, 1,000 meters long. Huge, massive ship with rows and rows of firepower and weapons that can blow up Idrises and all sorts of madness. That, as an organization headquarters, is scary, but that as a pirate organization headquarters is even more terrifying.
I mean, I think the way that it's going to work is once the game is like fleshed out and people start it, everyone's going to be on probably levelish ground.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have some people who will have perhaps spend a little more and have some more advanced ships, but I mean there'll be equally numbers of people who have done that across however many organizations there are for whatever purpose. So then it'll be a thing of like it'll be setting your own mark, if you get me.
Yeah.
You'll have to prove that you're better than the others no matter what.
Yeah. Very competitive. But the thing is, right, like what I'm thinking is, because organizations and stuff, we can buy, like, when the game is more fleshed out and it's at its more complete state, we'll be able to buy things like nodes, which is things like factories, outposts on a planet, all sorts of craziness, space stations, you name it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, with large organizations going at war and things like this, what we're also going to see then, that means, is an entire new dynamic to, like, online style games like this, where, it'll take a skill set, like the required skill sets from so many different backgrounds to win these battles. You're going to not only just need pilots like you would, or people to manage DPS or something like that. You're going to need people who are specifically good at, hand-to-hand stuff, for taking these nodes that are on the planet. You have to do it on foot. You'll have to storm the place and have a land battle with all the RSI rovers and tanks and who's and what else is coming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what I'm thinking is, I would love to see two really large organizations have a huge war, and for one reason. I would love to see the bill that comes in afterwards, because I'd love to see the resources spent in tanks, like trucks, ammunition, armor for the troops, troop lives. You know, that will be something that'll be a thing because of permanent death, so those will be some pissed off people. Then you'll have ships modules, ship weapons, ammunition for those ships, you name it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the ground lost as well, and the money and repairs. It'll be crazy, it'll be monumental.
And you never know how that's going to affect perhaps the economy
Oh yeah.
of that that specific area of space. If something there is like there's a massive amount of trade going on there, or people trading to that station or this part of the planet or with this specific resource, and then that gets wiped out because they can no longer fund it because they've just fought a war, what's going to happen to that part of space or that resource or other people depending on that resource?
Yeah, exactly. What we could see is a spot in the verse that becomes like, you know, after huge organizations have a war, that becomes a constant war zone because the resources there are like become super valuable, and there's so many wrecks down there or something that, you know, people will be warring over the scraps. You know what I mean? Like, you know, who will be able to take the space station? You have other smaller organizations jumping in, and it could become like just this mosh pit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
So out of curiosity, what is one thing you would personally really like to see organizations like be able to do?
Me personally, let's see. I would really like to see. I would really like to see, because I know we can buy factories and stuff and stations, but I would really like to see a way of organizations owning, say, a major building in a city where that you can actually walk around, and something like that, maybe like an office building even, just a really nice one, like a really high skyscraper, because it would be cool to have one of those scenarios, you know, like in Die Hard, right, when they're fighting in the tower?
Yeah.
Imagine like two organizations, the meeting goes bad, and then all of a sudden it's an ambush in the middle of a city, you know what I mean, like at the top of this skyscraper or something, and then that would be crazy because
So you got the people who have gone to their sort of trying to escape an office building where everyone's trying to kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everyone in the office building is running around trying to get their weapons and prevent them from leaving. It'd be a really fun dynamic, yeah. That'd be very fun if that eventually could possibly come around to that, yeah.
Yeah, because it also means we'd then be able to do the whole "this is the Sparta" thing and kick the bad guy out the window at the top floor. This is Death Corp. Boom. Well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, no. What about you? What would you really like to see organizations do in the verse?
I mentioned it earlier with the fleet stuff. I'd love to see that be like. I'd love to see them spend a lot of time focusing on that.
Yeah.
Because I'd like it to be, if you've got a big enough ship, you can park or you can fly some of your smaller ships into it. I'd love it to be the kind of thing of anyone can use anyone's ship as long as they have the permission to use it type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want people to be limited by the personal finance within the game or their own personal finance outside the game in purchasing stuff. And I think the whole point of an organization is that it should be a group of friends. No matter how big it is, you should have clusters of friends within it, and you should be able to use everyone else's resources.
Yeah, that's precisely.
So, for example, say someone's not there, and you've got a trade run to do, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, just take my ship, whatever, blah blah blah."
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can take. Or same with piloting or not piloting, like fighting. I think I'd love to see that aspect of organizations done really well.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is one of my biggest fears, is because I've seen all these different organizations popping up left, right, and center, and the biggest worries is the fact that you're going to get these organizations that are really big and nobody knows each other, and no one's going to help each other when it comes to ships and stuff. Just so like, oh yeah, no, like I'm in Operation Pitchfork, and it's like, oh, I'm in Operation Pitchfork too, and they don't exactly help each other out. It's like, dude, I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that's one thing I'd really like within our organization to work is that you get your group. As you say, it's like maximums of 5.
Yeah.
You've got your pilot. You're gonna have to trust. Your gunners and your engineers and stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone has to. If you're in a fight, you want to be able to trust everyone to be able to do their job properly.
Oh, exactly.
You don't want to be like in there. It's like I've never flown with this guy before. Is he even going to be able to get us out of it can even dodge a missile or
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. Or can he dodge the doors on the landing bay?
Yeah, and then you want the gunners. You want to have faith in your gunners, knowing that they can take down an enemy,
Yeah, precisely.
or at least hold off an enemy for the pilot to be able to get out of there, or for the engineers to be able to make the repairs necessary.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly what you want to like within a group. You want to have a trusted, close-knit community. Doesn't matter how big it is, it can be done. You know what I mean? You can have a bunch of players like having their own little subgroups within a large group, and then those like subgroups all connect to each other, and then they connect to the large group. You know what I mean, right? Like sort of
Yeah.
a honeycomb design.
Yeah, almost like the way a hive mind would work.
Yeah.
Except you not all want to you want to act like one, but you'd still be in your own individual self.
Yeah, exactly. So like for the greater good kind of thing, like everyone
Yeah.
works towards the same goal in their own unique way.
Or like knowing someone so well you don't even have to worry about what they're gonna do because you know they're gonna do it right.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Say if something goes wrong on board a ship, you don't need to be able to, scream over your shoulder, like, oh, we've got a major engine failure. Like, you want the engineer to just be like, oh, I recognize that sound, you know what I mean? Run back
Yeah.
there and fix it.
You don't want to have to wait for someone to do their job. You want them to be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to rely upon you to do your job, and then you'll rely upon them, and like, you know what I mean? And if you both
And
have
then
that
those
trust,
groups, you want those groups to rely on other groups, like each group of 5 then wants to have a good relationship with the other groups of 5. If it's the fighters or the combat pilots or whatever,
yeah, precisely.
you want them to be able to, you want to know that they as a group are going to be able to work together. As
Yeah.
traders, you don't want everyone just trading the same material. Like, even if it's like the most expensive one, you want to have like, fingers in many pies type things. You want to be expanding, and you want to be accessing as much of the economy as you can,
Yeah.
even if that means making less money, but by doing other things.
Yeah,
And then you want
exactly.
everyone to be able to rely on the organization and its leaders.
Precisely, and that's also a really good way of monitoring the stock market as well. It's like to see what resources are selling good where, is to have people trading all over the place and seeing what areas are dangerous.
You know what's selling well and what's not selling well.
Yeah, precisely. One thing that I really hope organizations do this, because we've gone down that road at the moment, is I hope that organizations have a flagship. It needs to be done, don't you think?
Yeah. So like you can set like, this is my base of operations.
Yeah, exactly that. Like
And if you can set stuff like that, perhaps you can buy a specific module, that is like, this is very much a command center.
Yeah.
For the organization. And you have people in there, like maybe the higher up ranks, who are like can access each individual part of it. Like the combat pilots aren't doing too well at the moment, but the trade's going great.
Yeah, exactly. Like have meetings on board the ship and stuff. So this is one of the reasons I like the whole, flagship and the whole office building ideas, because it gives a place for people to sort of come together. And it'd be nice though, is if there was like a hollow table kind of thing, like where it actually showed like a detailed analysis of the organization itself.
Yeah.
That would be cool. You can see like, oh, we've lost X amount of ships and it's going to cost us this much to replace them. And, these are the wounded players. We need to get an Endeavor up and running so we can give them, like their lives back, basically.
And I think the whole point of organizations comes back to the whole aspect of role playing as well as other aspects within the game. Is sort of like, you want to make sure that like if you can have a flagship, you're going to want it to be well stocked of everything.
Yeah.
Need to be able to supply as many people as it can hold. If it can hold 10 people or whatever, you need to make sure you can feed and like house 10 people on it.
Yeah, precisely. Like, I've seen it too many times now where you'll have single players going off and buying an Idris frigate, which is a very demanding ship, like in terms of resources. I think it needs something like 30-something crew, and it can't just be flown from A to B. It has to have people in the navigator position to plot a course for it. It's like a proper aircraft carrier. And that's going to be so extensive on resources to just get from A to B if you're just going to use it for patrolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you'd use to go to all-out war with, like if you're in a large-scale combat environment, there is no safer way of getting the fighters into the middle of combat than to bring it in an aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah, just bring it in there, drop off all the fighters, get out, or then support.
Yeah, exactly. The good thing about the Idris is it can support as well, but the bad thing is it takes forever to get from A to B. But yeah, it's a cool ship. Don't get me wrong, but I'm seeing all these players who have literally got like maybe 3 people in their organizations and things like that, and they own a Idris frigate, and it's an awesome ship. But I'd recommend those people that they join other organizations to where those ships could be used, like, well, to more avail. Like, so they'll
I
have
say, imagine joining an organization and they're like, oh, what can you bring to it? It's like, well, an Idris frigate, and they're like, awesome.
exactly.
Yeah, stay. Yeah, here, have a high rank.
Yeah, have a jacket.
You can bring that stuff to us, and sure, stay.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, at the minute in our organization, the largest ship we have is the Polaris Corvette, right?
Yes.
And that's a cool ship. Like, don't get me wrong, it's the only capital ship right now that is capable of being able to do the patrol missions because it doesn't cost too many resources because it's a Corvette. But the thing is, it doesn't have the staying power, say, of a Javelin class destroyer. If there was a large fight going on, these two ships can't go toe-to-toe and expect the Polaris to survive. The Polaris has to deliver its payload, get out, and maybe come back and do repeated strikes. It can't just sit there and hold that, like, frigate or that Javelin there. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that capability. But yeah, like, we do love our ships here, don't we? Oh, we love starships. But yeah, no, like, organizations, they really do make the meat and potatoes, I guess, of the game, right?
Well, I hope if even half the things that we've mentioned today, if they can implement like them,
Yeah.
it'll make the game a lot better.
Oh, 100 times, yeah. Like, some of this stuff is planned on the roadmap, like, you've got modules and stuff like that. I hope the modules go into more extensive things, like, office buildings and stuff. I want that office building, damn it. What else is there? The whole large-scale war thing, that's planned as well.
Yep.
See, Christopher Roberts and CIG have got this really beautiful idea, right? And it's coming together slowly, but that's a good thing. A lot of people that, might be watching this thinking, oh, damn, these guys are taking too long. Trust me, the longer it takes, the better it'll be. We don't want to play, like, if it came out tomorrow, let's just say, right, when nothing worked properly and people's games were crashing all the time, how long do you think the game would honestly last? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Exactly. With all of its modules and things put in correctly, like the way they're doing it now, you know what I mean?
I'll just look at sort of like No Man's Sky. It's like they didn't deliver on a lot of stuff that they promised, and its player base dropped off after like 3 days, and now I don't really think anyone probably still plays it at this point.
Exactly, that game.
Whereas this game is still in alpha at the moment,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're bringing things in gradually, making sure it works, and then sending it out.
Yes, precisely it. So, what else is there? Let's have a look. So with what CIG have done with their roadmap, they've given us a detailed analysis of what they plan to do in the foreseeable future, right? And if you watch, like, Chris Rhodes talking and stuff, he also goes on to say things like, oh, we've got more planned and stuff, once the game is actually out and done, right? They're going to keep on adding stuff to it. They're going to keep on, giving us more features and polishing stuff, which means that's once we've actually got a stable game to play from. And that's very important because, like you said, with No Man's Sky, they failed to deliver on their promises because they rushed. They were rushed out the door. And that killed the game pretty much. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, for those people out there that have complained that Star Citizen has been in development for a long time, just look at the development cycle for Grand Theft Auto 5, I think it was, or even Grand Theft Auto 4. That had a really long development cycle, like a really, really long development cycle. And look what you got for it. It got a good game, but it could have been more. You know what I mean? They, like, at the end there, they kind of did hurry it out, didn't they? Like, with the online coming out 2 weeks, what was it? 2 weeks
Yeah,
after.
I think it came out 2 weeks after the single player, and then it just wasn't capable of holding anyone pretty much. I don't really think anyone had a seamless transition into it.
Yeah.
It took them a couple of days to fix.
That was annoying as all hell, because when we used to play it on... We played it on 360 and we played on the Xbox One, and you played it on the PC.
Yeah.
But I remember in the very early days when it first launched, oh my god, the bugs, they were the worst, weren't they? Like, the crashes, you can't connect to other friends. It was a nightmare. And it felt partly rushed at the end, because they got to a stage where they kind of made their promise, and then they went, oh crap, you know what I mean? More people bought this game than anticipated.
But it's like you don't want them to do that, even if it means that perhaps they have to reveal or release aspects of the game at different times. If it means that organizations take a little longer to be fleshed out than perhaps, fighter combat, and it takes a little bit longer for every aspect of the FPS side of it to be released.
Yeah.
That personally doesn't bother me because I'd rather it's released and done properly.
Yeah.
Than it's there and I don't want to use it because it doesn't work. And then even when it is fixed, I'm too annoyed at it to want to use it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What'll happen is you'll have people that have played the broken version and be like, "Oh, I'm not going back to that." It's like, why? It's like, "Oh, it killed my experience." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the good thing is with CIG, they are giving us the game in sort of sections on. They're giving us Star Marine, then they're giving us planets, and then they're gonna give us planets comes with trading, then we get, I think it is mining, then there's salvage, and all these things are coming in like chunks, like bricks. And that's the correct way to build a house. You don't just put everything down all at once. You got to make sure each brick is settled in correctly. So yeah, that has been 30 minutes. Awesome. Thank you for listening, citizens, and we do appreciate your support. You guys rock. Blue Stick, you want to say anything?
Nah.
All right then. I guess.
Thanks for watching.
There you go. That's about it for today, folks. Hey guys, that was Star Citizen. Let's talk about it, episode 3, where I'll get together with a group of friends or a friend, and we'll talk about Star Citizen and what's going on, and what are our thoughts on a certain subject matter. And today we covered organizations and whatnot. If you like this, let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you'd like to take part in this, you're more than welcome to join us and talk about Star Citizen with us in one of these videos. It would be cool to have what your guys' views are and stuff in there as well. So let me know in the comment section below if you think you'll be able to make it and stuff. We usually do this around 2 o'clock GMT time. Once a week we'll set it up, so we'll give you like a Discord or something. Also, the Discord for the group is up and running smoothly now, thanks to Gluestick. He's a wizard with that stuff, so that's pretty cool. So yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been awesome making these videos for you. I'll continue to make videos for you guys as long as you want them. So yeah, you know the drill, guys. Fly safe, Commanders, and I'll see you in the verse.